Bam! What's up, guys? Gonna do a little conclusion for you of the video about success. As I was, let's see, where do we end off? I said basically that's the most important key to success. Um, the other ones is balance and people skills. I'm gonna get into people skills a little bit in this video. Uh, Balance, I think I'm gonna leave that for another time. One, because I fully don't understand it, to be honest. I was told by two successful people, and I've known in my own life that balance is important, but I wouldn't say I understand it at a level to where I'd be able to teach it well. So, I mean, maybe just thinking about it in your own life, how that could apply, could be helpful. All right, so to end that video, I want to recommend a video to you that portrays it very well. And actually, any documentary or autobiography or biography on anyone's life who's very successful, or anyone who had odds to overcome, you will see that their tenacity is what made them who they were, and they couldn't have made it where they were without their tenacity. Teddy Roosevelt's a good example. I'm thinking of that as I say this. There's plenty of examples. I mean, uh, Steve Jobs. Like, if you just did any documentary on him, at least on like him up and coming, you'll find that he probably went through a bunch of BS to get where he was. Just like starting in a garage in Silicon Valley. Where he started his company. Yeah, it's not like he had a huge investment of a bunch of people from the beginning. He had to start from scratch and he had to go through the grind. So yeah, video that I recommend that portrays both two of the three important characteristics of being successful is person who had the world's highest skydiving jump record for over 40 years. Like, for the history of skydiving is like literally way less than 100 years old for actual skydiving. Parachuting might have been around a little bit longer, but skydiving has only been around since the 60s about. And this guy held the record from 1966 up until Felix, who beat the record by a little bit, like over 50 years later. That's ridiculous. Like, the technology we had then to what we have now, and it took 50 years for someone to have the balls to come up with that record. Yes, the guy did die to get in the record, but the record had been 115,000 feet, which is very, very high, and that was done, like literally a couple years before the 126, which was the highest record. Anyways, my point is this video is very helpful to illustrate the points of tenacity, what you can accomplish. Forget the result that he died on, but he got the highest point like anyone's ever been, just personally, and jumped out just with tenacity and people skills. He wasn't super rich. If you watch this documentary, it's called 30 for 30, Angry Sky. Yeah, and like I said, or any other autobiography, you'll find that people with strong will, strong tenacity, never give upness, grit, whatever you want to call it, with a little bit of people skills, just most of the grit, like that in itself, can carry you really far. People skills will make it a little easier because you can move through it smoother and you can get more people to do what you want from it. So yeah, one example he is talked about in the documentary is how he got his solo hot air balloon, which he needed to get in order to get to his record, because he had to have that for some regulation or for some like hot air balloon company to sponsor him. He had to have an hour solo time of hot air balloon. So anyways, did that, just a bunch of stuff that he had to do, talking to certain people. He was just a regular dad with a little bit of skydiving experience, and he got this record. He didn't have the Air Force behind him initially. He didn't have, this huge, like corporation that he owned to support it. It's like just him and his tenacity. he made an amazing feat done that he later died on. So it doesn't matter the result, what he accomplished without that result is just amazing. So, all right, why be successful? You know, perfect example, it's not for everyone. You know, there's going to be situations where maybe you'll die. I mean, you're going to die anyways eventually. But yeah, I mean, if you, depending on what type of life you want to live in or what type of life you want to live, sometimes you're going to have to choose to live your values. And you're going to have to put that before your natural instincts, whether it be to survive, like in his case, or to have people like you and be accepted by the tribe, whatever, you know, or just the comfort of like holding your breath underwater, something I had to go through, or the comfort of like sleeping in a warm, cozy bed or pushing it hard on a workout, whatever. You're going to have to give things up to be successful. You know, sleep, anything it could be. Like, you're going to have to give things up. But my thoughts on it are it's worth it. Like, waking up at, let's see, I don't know, whatever time you have to wake up, you know, or just finding a way. You're going to have to work hard, period. So, a couple examples. Working out. Let's say that's something you want to be successful in. Why do it? It's uncomfortable. You're going to have to be more picky about what you put in your body. It doesn't feel good. It takes time out of your day when you could be like playing video games or hanging out with your friends. Cases of injury, but actually you're gonna be more healthy if you work out. So that doesn't really make that much sense. But yeah, those would be some reason to be like, okay, why would you want to do that to yourself? One, I think that's important. If you're gonna argue the comfort route, like comfort is relative. Pain and pleasure is a relative experience. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. If you've worked out really, really hard or done anything that's just like very uncomfortable, and then you just like finish and just lay down for a second, it's like, feels amazing. Feels really good because it's all relative. So someone might argue like, oh, like, no, it feels good because you have endorphins. Like, okay, so if you're just going to say it's only endorphins, you're totally incorrect. I'll give you an example. If you want more, I've had a shoulder dislocation before. While I was out, it hurt, you know, every little bump in the road, being in a car or whatever. And then as soon as it goes back in place, it feels amazing. Your entire body does, you know. And it's because compared to what I was feeling, like the relativity of just non-shoulder dislocated, it feels amazing. That's one reason. So just working out hard, it like literally makes you feel better in general, like always when you're not working out, because the non-working out, there's like a certain like comfort in like not being uncomfortable, and then things that you do that makes you uncomfortable makes comfort seem more comfortable. So stepping outside your comfort zone, and another way actually expands your comfort zone, so you have a larger comfort zone. So it's actually in the long run, it makes you more comfortable. So it's something to be aware of, and it's actually just illusion. Like you'll find out everything that I break down here is an illusion to not be successful. Any tempting, you know, thought process. So, I mean, and also even in the moment of going through a workout, you could find meaning in it. You know, if you are realizing how important it is for you to work out hard. Like, for example, I'm paramedic training right now, and we get told constantly, like, yeah, maybe for the average person who doesn't work out as hard as you guys do, you get this experience on them, and whether any ailment that it might be, and they're going to respond a lot more poor. They're going to respond more poorly than you guys will. And it reminded me of something that happened to me when I had 2 atypical pneumonias. And we were actually talking about pneumonias today, where some people, like older people, especially unhealthy people, it can be deadly to some people, and a decent amount of people die of pneumonia in the hospital when that's not even the reason they went to the hospital for. Just because they're unhealthy, their body's not able to take that amount of stress on the lungs and the body. But if you work out hard and often, your body can take it like really well, actually. So I had 2 very, very uncomfortable, atypical pneumonias. I had it really bad on one Friday when we were swimming. This is right before I went through selection, and it was like really, really bad. I like got out. I had like almost threw up. Like I maintained like a decent swim time actually. Then we had to do push-ups. Then we had to do like later bitch work at the squadron. It was a very, very uncomfortable day. So and I got off on Friday, went home and was just like, oh, I'm just gonna freaking lay down. Slept like almost the entire weekend. Still was bad on Monday. I thought I could overcome it, and I went and talked to the doctor, and she was like, well, I mean, you don't seem like you're that bad. I don't hear any terrible wheezing and stuff like that. And just as I was presenting to her, it didn't seem like anything serious. I told her, I was like, well, I wheeze at night, blah. It might seem like I look fine, but, I know my body does not feel that as good as it normally does. So anyway, she's like, all right, we'll do like a little test. She did a test, calls me like 2 days later, was like, yeah, you need to get back here like soon, And I had like a pretty serious pneumonia at the time. And then she still didn't believe that. She's like, she thought she screwed up with that. She didn't even know that I had another type of pneumonia that was all up in my lungs because I was presenting so well. But I told her from the wheezing, I was like, well, maybe I should just get a chest x-ray. And I'm not even one to get that type of stuff. I prefer to not get medical treatment in general. But anyways, I just knew I felt messed up. So anyways, got that, and she's like, well, yeah, you got to come back here. And I had like gnarly chest pneumonia. So anyways, the benefits are real. Even though the mind might try to tell you otherwise, the benefits of being successful, benefits of being healthy are freaking real, and they're awesome. So this ended up turning into like a benefits on working out video. So there's that. I'm going to get into the next video a little bit more on success. But hope that makes sense as far as dispelling myths in your mind on why not just like chill out and just kind of cruise in life. It's like, yeah, you can kind of do that with life. You'll probably end up in a decent place. But if you really want to like really live and like make the best of this life that you have, you're going to have to like work hard at stuff in general. And you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone in order to expand it. And the more you expand your comfort zone, the more enjoyable life is. So, hope this makes sense. Bam. Wait for video 3.